Manchester City's perfect start to the season comes to an end as a bit of a damp squib, really. 0-0 against the Italian champions, and they're no mugs. They're absolutely not. They're Italian champions for a reason. They played very well, defensively sound, incredibly difficult to break down, but I'm going to leave those match stats on the screen for you. But Manchester City have a first half problem right now, and it's frustrating me because the last two games in particular, you can even go back to the Ipswich game where we went 1-0 down, don't forget. It's sloppy. We're entering the field with a sloppy mentality. It's very casual, our first half performances, and we've gotten away with it. I wouldn't say we got away with it against Ipswich because we wiped the floor with them as soon as we went 1-0 down. It's like bang, 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 3-1 up in the blink of an eye. And it was Ipswich actually gifted us those goals. Against Brentford, fortunate. I thought we were fortunate. We should have been 2 or 3-0 down in the first 7 minutes against Brentford. And I've got some match stats to show you from each half as well. I'm going to show you right now. But these on the screen for you right now are the full match stats against Inter Milan. So feel free to pause it and have a look at those stats for yourself. Because as you can see, those numbers there indicate that City probably should have won that game. Especially when you look at that XG there where City got over 2.3 XG. You'd expect us to have won that game. And on another day, we probably would have done. But it was frustrating. Now let's have a look at the first half against Inter Milan. Controlled the game really well, but it's that XG again. We're very similar to Inter Milan. It's not as bad as it was against Brentford, mind you, but still, it's a very even game. And the fouls are a real indication of how much City had to try and prevent that transition. The counter-attacking options for Inter Milan were there. It was a concern to see how easily they were to get the ball up. We were sloppy. We were very sloppy. I thought Rodri was sloppy in the first half. Kevin De Bruyne was sloppy in the first half. And we gave the ball away too frequently to give Inter Milan an opportunity to get into the final third. They were wasteful. They had opportunities that they didn't make the most of in that first half. But you can see in the XG, it's pretty similar. Like I said, the fouls are an indication of how often we had to bring them down to try and prevent that counter-attacking opportunity. You roll on the second half, and you can see, even though we've lot less of the ball, but a much better performance, the XG shoots up. More shots on goal, more shots on target. Inter Milan's XG plummets. Their big chances, 0. City's 3 big chances in the second half. We completely restricted Inter Milan in that second half to pretty much nothing. They were hanging on for a 0-0 at the end of the game. In that final 20 minutes, they were hanging on. So it's frustrating. You have a look at the first half against Brentford. Brentford came to the Etihad, to the champions of England, and dominated that first half. They dominated. You can see it. Possession, 52% from bloody Brentford. Now, no disrespect to Brentford. They played incredibly well, and that's why Pep said what he said after the game and how highly he spoke of that performance. But the XG, 0.92 from Brentford to City's 0.68. 7 shots each. They had more on target, a big chance each. They passed the ball better than we did in the first half. It's concerning. You look at the second half against Brentford and we battered them. We just turned up. We had pep ups. Look at the XG now in the second half against Brentford. 0.04 in the second half against Brentford, whereas ours is pretty much 1.5. So the second half got us over the line. Well, the first half did. Harland got us over the line against Brentford with 2 goals, snap chances. He took them both brilliantly by Harland. The first was actually deflected, but still, I think ultimately we deserved to win. Definitely the Brentford game, and I'd say we just about deserved to win the game against Inter Milan, but it's the first half that's frustrating me right now. We're coming onto the pitch too casually. You do this against Arsenal on Sunday, you enter that pitch with such a casual mentality, a very pedestrian and laboured performance in the first half, sloppy. We're going to get punished against Arsenal if we play that like that in the first 45 minutes against Arsenal. I'm telling you now, we'll go 1-0 down, and it might not be retrievable. If you go 2-0 down against this Arsenal side with a defence as solid as it is with Saliba and Gabriel, we've got to shore it up. We've got to come onto the pitch with a better mentality and a better quality, just overall quality. We can't be as sloppy as we have been in the first half. But you know we can turn it around. The second half stats are fantastic from Manchester City. So while there's negatives to take out of both the Brentford game and the Inter Milan game, there's plenty of positives to take out of the game as well, because we really turn it round in the second half. But we can't be a team of 2 halves, because you'll drop points playing like that in the first 45 minutes. And we've dropped points against Inter Milan. That's what's happened. We'll do it against Arsenal if we play like that in the first 45 minutes, I'm telling you now. But if we come onto that pitch and play like we did in the second half of both of these games, we have every chance of beating Arsenal. Reasonably well, because the chance creation's fantastic in both second half. Right, moving on. Ederson. I thought he was good. His distribution was really good. I loved that moment in the first half where he just put his foot on the ball and just kept dragging it back come on, mate, come on. Trying to draw Inter Milan out of their shape, and they did not bite at all. They were very, very controlled in their press. They didn't go near Ederson in that first half, but he made 3 important saves. One was a great save by Carlos Augusto at the right on the halftime whistle, near post save. There was another save that he saved from Thuram, a savable save, if you can call it that, from a header. You expect him to save it, but a save nonetheless. And his distribution was really good, 93% with 6 out of 8 long balls being accurate. Good from Ederson, so I've given him a 7.5. Akanji, the worst out of the back 3, but that by no means he played badly. I thought he played pretty decent, Manuel Akanji. I thought on the ball he was really, really good. Again, his ball retention's fantastic, 92%. Not too much defensively to speak about. He wasn't called upon too many times. He didn't have to make a tackle in the game, blocked a shot. Winning his aerial duels is good as well, but I thought on the ball, good from Manuel Akanji, 7 out of 10. Yosco, first time another player gets man of the match this season, because I've been handing it out to bloody Harland every game. So it's nice to see another City player get a man of the match, and it was absolutely deserved for Yosco Gvardiol. He's just turning into an absolute Rolls Royce of a defender. What a player he's turning out to be, and he gets better every time I see him. He really does. A big chance created, 2 block shots, 2 interceptions, a key pass, 96% possession. It was just a complete performance from our left centre-back that was a real indication that's our back 3. I don't want to see Stones and Walker in games like this anymore. I understand playing them against Brentford. I understand that. But big games, Champions League, top 6 in the Premier League games, Yosco, Diaz, Akanji, that's it. Unless they're injured, that's it. And I wouldn't have a problem with seeing Nathan Ake coming into the odd game when he returns from injury. But for me, Yosco Gvardiol he's growing and growing, and I'm so excited to see what he can do going forward. There was a moment in the first half where he just marauds through the middle of Inter Milan's midfield, gets it, he sort of at a diagonal run that goes across the pitch like that, gets it to Savinho, and he wanted it back. Savinho had to give it him back in that situation. That was a real moment that I thought Gvardiol could have got himself on the end of a shot there. But overall, brilliant from Yosco. 8 out of 10, man of the match. Ruben Diaz, harshly booked in the first half, I thought. I thought that tackle on the halfway line was absolutely spot on. It was physical, it was tough. But I mean, this is a physical game. It's a contact sport, mate. He absolutely flattened him. And he got a yellow card for winning the ball. Thought that was bullshit from the referee, that. But outside of that moment, which, I mean, I'm not punishing him for getting that yellow card, because I thought that was a perfectly legitimate tackle. He was dominant in his defensive duels. He only entered into 3 of them, but he won 2 of them. His aerial duels as well, won half of them. But I mean, you're going up against Thuram. He's a big guy, man. Big physical presence. And he dealt with him really, really well throughout this game, Ruben Diaz. And he's proven to be a much better Ruben Diaz than what we saw last season. I thought Ruben Diaz didn't have his greatest seasons last season, especially the first half, pre-Christmas. I thought Ruben Diaz was struggling a little bit. Away to Chelsea, I remember that game. He was all over the place in that 4-4 draw. Not to be the case this season. He's been solid as a rock all season, Ruben Diaz, in the middle of our defence with 2 tackles, 2 clearances, and a 7.5 score is deserved for Ruben Diaz. Rico, I thought his energy was good. I thought his energy was really good. He just couldn't really get involved in the game. I would say he was almost faultless, to be honest, because I don't remember Rico Lewis doing anything wrong in this game, but he struggled to have an impact in the attacking sense in the game. Moments where he found himself in nice little pockets in the middle of the pitch that were decent. Positional awareness from Rico Lewis, and his energy was good, but the numbers are pretty much non-existent from Rico Lewis, certainly from a defensive point of view there. No block shots, clearances, didn't even enter into a ground duel. 1 key pass to speak of, so it was a quiet performance, but good energy. And I mean, I don't want to just be talking about players' energy. I want to talk about a little bit more than that, but he certainly didn't have a bad game. I would say it was almost faultless. I can't remember Rico doing anything wrong, like I said, but not too much from the attacking sense to speak of, so 6.5 for Rico. Rodri, he also gets a 6.5, and he definitely improved in the second half, but I thought he had a stinker of a first half. he was pickpocketed and gave the ball away 2 or 3 times in the first half. One where it presented Inter Milan a counter-attacking opportunity where he just had the ball taken off him with ease on the halfway line, and away Inter Milan go. He tried a little flick, a little Cruyff flick in the on the edge of the penalty area in an attacking sense, and gave it away. There was no need to try that flick there, and away Inter Milan go again. I think Rodri was holding his hands up as well at moments in that game where he would admit he didn't have his greatest first half, but he shored it up in the second half like the rest of the team did, to be honest, and maybe that was an indication of the team, because he's so important to Manchester City. He is the nucleus of our team. So I feel like if he has a bad game, we have a bad game. If he has a good game, we have a good game. So it's one of those performances from Rodri that it comes every once in a blue moon. Not very common. He's just back, first start this season. So you can forgive him for getting off to a sloppy start, but he shored it up in the second half and he was pretty good. 3 tackles was brilliant, and all those were in the second half as well. But a 6.5 is all I can really give him, because that first half is burnt in the memory, to be honest. It was a difficult watch, that first half, but not bad at all in the second half, 6.5. Gundan, really frustrated because of the chances that he had, but he actually played well. His ball retention's fantastic. 100% passing accuracy, which is 26 out of 26, if you're wondering, for the number of passes that he actually had. But those chances has harmed his score. The one that went over the bar in the final moments of the game with a Doku cross, right on the money from Jeremy Doku. He did have to dive for it, mind you. So I forgive him for that, because it was a diving header. They're not easy to control. If you've ever tried a diving header, try and get it on target, mate. It's not easy. But there was a header before that, about 5-10 minutes before that, where he nods it straight into Sommer's hands. That's got to go into one of the corners. That was the killer one for me. That was a real opportunity. It went just over the head of Acerbi, who just about couldn't get it. And it was a delicious cross from Jack Grealish, right on the money for Gundan. He's got to find the corner in that situation. But like I said, the second half, he came on for Kevin De Bruyne and his ball retention was fantastic. He had a reasonably good half. Again, it's only a half of football that I can actually score him on. So those misses has definitely knocked him down at 0.5 at least. So 6.5 for Ilkay Gundogan. Foden, big impact. Really big impact. You know, I'm again frustrated because I feel like he's got a big chance missed there. That was with his right foot. That again, find the corner. You know, it was straight at Sommer. Again, there was another chance that he actually took it off Jack Grealish. It was a Jeremy Doku pass, trying to find Jack Grealish, who was in more space, but Phil Foden got in the way and took it off Jack Grealish, and then cuts inside onto his right foot, and then his shot just bobbled towards that bottom corner. It goes down as a shot on target because Sommer had to save it, but I felt like he could have left that for Jack Grealish. But he was everywhere in that second half, Phil Foden. I thought he had a really positive impact on that second half, and he definitely upped our game. His introduction was very noticeable in that second half, and I'm looking forward to seeing him surely. But instead of who? But sure, I was about to say, surely he starts against Arsenal, but instead of who? I would probably suggest Bernardo Silva, but he's got a very unique role in this midfield, Bernardo Silva. But yeah, 7 out of 10 for Phil Foden. Looking forward to seeing a full 90 minutes from him, because I think he'll have an even bigger impact. Could it be against Arsenal? That would be nice. Kevin De Bruyne, sloppy, really sloppy in the first half. He came off injured. You're hoping it's not too bad. You know he's an important player, and he physically struggled in this game. 4 ground duels, he didn't win any of them. 3 shots, none of them on target. He did get 2 key passes to his name, which is typical Kevin De Bruyne, but the 73% passing accuracy is not unusual, because he tries the difficult ones, doesn't he, Kevin De Bruyne? But they weren't difficult passes at times. They're really simple stuff, and he was getting caught on the ball. I thought he was a bit sloppy in that first half. So I've given him a 6 out of 10, and I'm hoping to see him back, first of all, because even though he didn't have his greatest game, you know what he can do, so we need him. We can't afford to have him injured again. The way he went off the pitch, the fact that he carried on, to me, suggests it might be precautionary. But I tell you what, if he doesn't play, there's your answer. Phil Foden, straight into that Kevin De Bruyne role. Absolutely, he's made for it, Phil Foden. So, yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned if De Bruyne is out, because you know Phil Foden's in immediately. But 6 out of 10 in this game against Inter Milan for Kevin De Bruyne. Jack Grealish, 7.5. I didn't give him enough credit yesterday. The numbers speak volumes to how well he was. He was probably our most consistent threat throughout the game. And I feel like he's a goal and an assist away from getting the credit that he deserves because he played well. He did a lot of good stuff in this game, really good stuff. He was consistently a thorn in the side for Inter Milan throughout this game. 4 key passes, you know. That's an indication he was the most threatening Manchester City player yesterday. And those key passes are an indication of that. Defensively, resound. He worked his socks off, Jack Grealish. As he always does. I mean, that's probably why his socks are like hanging on for dear life because he's working them off. The falling down his calves because he's working his socks off, literally. And I mean, 3 shots on target. They were blocked shots. They weren't missed targets. I think one of them was off target. 2 of them were blocked, in fact. But 6 out of 7 ground duels were won. There's a reason Pep keeps playing him, and as much as I wanted to see Doku and Savinho, he did not have a bad game, Jack Grealish, by any stretch of the imagination. And I just feel the stat watchers are very much wanting to see more goals and assists from Jack Grealish because without them, they're not going to be won over. They're not going to believe that this man is the right man to play on the left side of Manchester City. And I saw a lot of positives from Jack Grealish yesterday. Having watched the game back without the emotions that are involved when you're watching it live, and big up to everyone who joined me for that watch long yesterday. It was a good one. But yeah, I thought he was really good yesterday, Jack Grealish. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start against Arsenal as well. So 7.5 for Jackie Boy. Bernardo Silva, I thought he was pretty anonymous, really. Very little impact. Has got a big chance missed there. 1 shot, not on target. 1 ground duel. You know, 80 minutes of football. You want to see more from Bernardo Silva. You really do. I felt like he had to find his feet twice in this game because he was struggling to find his feet centrally in the first half. And then he was shifted over to the right wing in the second half and had even less impact in that second half where he got a lot of the ball and did very little. Didn't stress Carlos Augusto at any point, really. Didn't even try to take him on. You know, I want to see a little bit more from Bernardo Silva. Very little impact he had in the whole of that game. And very easy to deal with, I felt. Carlos Augusto dealt with him reasonably well, and Bastoni as well, who's a nightmare. What a player Bastoni is, by the way. Quality player. So, yeah, I was a bit disappointed in Bernardo Silva's performance. 6 out of 10 for Bernardo Silva. Doku, on the other hand, we're talking who came on for Bernardo Silva, and that's what you want to see from Bernardo Silva. Those numbers speak volumes to what I'm talking about. The impact is what you want to see. Yeah, 2 dribbles from Jeremy Doku. Neither of them completed, but four crosses. 2 of them were bang on the money. One of them was for Ilkay Gundan, who probably could have made it 1-0 with that diving header. 2 key passes, a big chance created, and that's in 10 minutes of football. You know, coming on, doing his trademark. Shimmy, shimmy, y'all, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah. Give me the ball so I can give it away. Sorry. Sorry, Doku. Couldn't resist. Couldn't resist. You knew he was going to come onto the pitch in the second half. You knew he was going to have that impact and trying to take on the fullback. And a tiring fullback is a nightmare situation to see Jeremy Doku coming onto the pitch. And that's what I want to see from Bernardo Silva. If he goes onto that right side, we need to see, even though he's not as aggressive with his dribbling like Doku is, he's a very unique player in that sense, Doku. You want to see Bernardo try a little bit more, like Doku has in this 10 minutes cameo. And I don't like to score people on 10 minutes. I've said it all along. Anything less than 10 minutes, and I don't really bother giving them a rating. But when the difference is 10 minutes of football versus 80 minutes of football from Bernardo Silva, and Doku makes that level of impact, I've got to highlight it. So 6.5 is, and the only reason it's 6.5 is because it's 10 minutes. You play like that for 80, 90 minutes, and we probably would have won the game. Frustrating. I wish they would have started. Savinho, another 6.5, 45 minutes of football this time round. I feel like Pep was annoyed with him because there was moments where decision-making was a little bit off from Savinho, but there's the bright spot. There was a moment where he just pushed it through Carlos Augusto and Bastoni together, 2 of them, and he just dinks it through the middle of them and just skips right through the middle of them. He's going to be a lethal player on the right side or the left side for Manchester City. You know this guy's going to make it in a Manchester City shirt. I'm guaranteed he's going to make it. He's not hit the ground perfectly running. He's gotten off to a reasonable start. There's a spark there, isn't there? I'm excited. He gets you on the edge of your seat. there's something there, 100%. And I mean, that shot that he had as well was just woeful as well in the first half. The one where the volleyed shot where it comes through. He's got to either side foot that. Just concentrate, mate. Get it on target. But he lashed at it. Side foot, and he goes waff, whiff, up into the heavens at the Etihad Stadium. And it was, a poor effort from Savinho. But overall, his contribution was pretty positive. He tried to be dangerous. He tried to do things. And I mean, that's what I want to see from our wide players, you know. But the actual end product was still a little bit missing. His crosses, he's got one key pass, one cross. It was on target, and that was one for Erling Haaland. I think it was a missed opportunity for Erling Haaland in the first half. It was more good defending than missed by Erling Haaland because he was tightly marked by Acerbi all game, and we saw that frustration with Haaland at the end of the game, where he was saying, do you want my shirt? Do you want my shirt? And Acerbi said, no, I'll have two of them, mate. Getting a bit cocky, mate. Hopefully we can face him later in the knockout stages of the Champions League, and Harland can get some revenge. But, yeah, I want to see a little bit better from Savinho in the end product, but I'm excited for his future. I really am. 6.5 for Savinho. Harland, another 6.5. You look at the rest of the team, don't you? He's still getting chances, to be fair to him, but they weren't clear-cut chances. He's not exactly going through on goal. He had one that you could say was a reasonable chance, with that one that was blocked on the edge of the 6-yard box from a Kevin De Bruyne cross. Probably the best and only contribution in the game from Kevin De Bruyne that was an actual pest for the opposition. And it was good defending from Inter Milan. So Harland was contained pretty well by the back three of Bisek, Acerbi, and Bastoni. Really did well looking after Erling Haaland in this game, and it's not going to be the first time we'll see a performance like this from Haaland. So he's got a ridiculous amount of credit in the bank, so we know what he can bring. But yeah, these are the games where Haaland doesn't score, and his score will be reflecting in that, because he's on the pitch to score, and if he doesn't, he'll probably get a low score. But yeah, I thought his hold-up play was better. He's upped his game a little bit, I think. This season, he looks a little bit better in his hold-up play. Could still do a bit more for me. He could offer more, but still, it's a little bit better. And he's growing. The other areas of his game are getting a little bit better, and that's good. Really good. But yeah, that completes the player ratings. Ultimately, a 0-0 is not a bad result, but a frustrating result, considering how the first half went. I really want City to come onto the pitch now and sort these first halves out, because we're not going to keep getting away with it. I wouldn't say we got away with it against Inter, because I think it's cost us 2 points. If we start the game like we started the second half, we probably win the game. But if we start the game like we did against Brentford in the first half, and we play like that against Arsenal will go 1-0 up. Arsenal will go 1-0 up, and it will be costly. It will be. So we have to sort it out and improve our first half performances from Manchester City. But Blues, get in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up Silva.